What's up, y'all? It's your boy Roscoe P. It's another one of my tales from overseas. This tale comes to you from Patia. It's not my tale so much as it is somebody else's tale, but I was there when the gentleman was telling it, and he and I had a conversation, and it was just an amazing story, and I wanted to share it with you guys. What it did was it highlighted the reason why this space, this YouTube space, is so important and why the people within this YouTube space and these Passport Brothers space is important as well. Just a quick background. When I went overseas, I didn't have anyone to tell me um, what to do, where to go, nothing. I went, I was kind of flying blind. Um, the only good thing was that I met with somebody at the airport that kind of took me to where I needed to go. Um, Other than that, I had no clue what I was doing, where I was going. Um, One of my good friends' brother visited Japan and gave me like a brief overview of Japan, and that was it. Other than that, I had no clue and no understanding of what I was doing, where I was going, nothing. Um, Fast forward, and there was no YouTube, there was no consulting, none of that. Fast forward to now, I see an influx of brothers um, and influx of men in general going overseas and enjoying themselves. When I was overseas, I met a lot of the OGs that had done this, and they were older and they had discovered this a long time ago. When you get out there, great people, you know. And what I see now is I see YouTube having a huge influence on men getting their passports and going places. Um, I mean, especially in Pattaya. You know, Pattaya before all of this YouTube and everything else wasn't as big as it is now. It's not like it's a tourist destination now, which is it's a huge tourist destination. Um, I mean, I could look at on my way back from Pattaya, I went back to Japan. You know, it's like my home away from home. It's my stomping ground. And as I'm there, one of my favorite ramen places, a place called Ichiran Ramen. Um, when I lived there, that place was empty. You could walk in there at all times of the day and night, get a booth, eat a great bowl of ramen, relax. It ran 24 hours and it was never packed, never packed. And now, because of the influence of the internet, because of the influence of YouTube and the influence of Instagram and people posting and all this and that, this and that, it is a tourist. I'm not gonna say trap because the food is good. It is inundated with tourism to a point where I had to get. They asked if I had a reservation, and this is like that's like Ichiran is the equivalent of fast food. Like they're chains. It's a branch. They're branches of it. That's like someone coming to you and being like, man, you know, you got a reservation to Wendy's or you got a reservation to um, Burger King. So I was very surprised at how the reach and the level of um, I keep saying this word, but it's true influence. And YouTube and Instagram, they reach so many people, and people are like, yo, I want to go and try it. And so in Patia, um, we met this guy. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but his story was just amazing. El Guapo and I walking down the street, and we're just chopping it up, talking, and we met this guy. He was from Detroit or Chicago. I forget which one. I think he was from Chicago. Um, and what he did was he recognized El Guapo. He's like, oh my gosh. He was like, you're El Guapo. And Guap is a great dude. He's like, yeah, he took time to talk to the guy and everything. And the guy says, I learned about you watching Zoom to Thailand. After Zoom to Thailand, you know, I subscribed to your channel. I've been watching you. And you two guys were the reason why I traveled. I'm here right now in Pattaya. He was like, you two, Zoom to Thailand, Richie Mack, and Beautiful Lies with El Guapo. He was like, you two guys are the reason that I traveled. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, have you traveled before? He's like, no, this is my first trip. And for Pattaya, Thailand to be your first trip, you really just got to be like, man, I'm just going to go, because you have to fly to Japan. Back in the day, there was a nonstop flight from LAX to Pattaya, LAX to Bangkok. Now, it doesn't exist. So you have to fly from wherever you're going to fly, you have to fly from Japan. And that could be between, if you're flying from the East Coast, 13 hours, from New York, 14 hours. If you're flying from LA, 8 to 10. I think it's more like 8 hours. And then you have to fly another 6 hours. So if he's going from Chicago, I would say it was like a 10-hour flight plus another 6. So 16 hours in the air for him to get to Pattaya, plus an hour and 45-minute drive from Bangkok airport to Pattaya, because there's no direct flight. There's no flight, period, to Pattaya. You have to take a cab or a bus or whatever you have to take. So I'm listening to this guy's story, and he's giving Guapo all his flowers. Man, thank you. You really got me out of like a funk. It was a bad time in my life, and I had to go somewhere, and listening to you and Richie Mack, really saved me. And just listening to the influence that Richie Mack, that El Guapo, that a lot of these YouTubers have in this space, that are saving these brothers and these men, and you are getting passports and flying out. I didn't have that, So now I look at this new generation, even the older generation, some of the OGs need to hear this, and they're like, yo, I got to get out of here. I got to go. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. I got to give it up. And I'm upset at myself for not being able to remember the guy's name, but it was just such a great story to hear him. Like, it's one thing when someone inspires you to do something. It's another thing to meet that person who inspired you to do it, when and where that person told you to go or inspired you to do it. It's an amazing thing, an amazing accomplishment, an amazing feeling. And I was happy for him. I was so happy for him. I think that those people on YouTube, the El Guapos, the Richie Macks, Andre from, Andre Love Crossing Borders, the Kosher Clinician, those guys need to get their props. Dennis Sperling, those guys all need their props and their flowers, because if it's not for them, a lot of people aren't going overseas. A lot of people are not going to be able to see what else is out there. And YouTube touches a lot of people. Pause. YouTube is a place where you can see a whole range of people and learn a range of different things and see a range of different things without even leaving the comfort of your couch, bed, home, nothing. And then if you feel like, you'd be like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my life better. And you get up and you do it. You get a passport. You fly to another country. You see it for yourself. And it is probably the greatest thing anyone could ever experience. I'm very happy to call El Guapo my friend. I'm very happy to call Richie Mack my friend. But I'm also happier to see their influence in ways that, only other people can dream of. I am Richie Mack, Zoom to Thailand, you get your flowers. El Guapo, Beautiful Eyes, flowers. You guys are exposing that this life here in America isn't all that there is out there. You guys are kind of the forebearers in getting people to know, like, hey man, there's a whole another world out there. And it's amazing. And you know what? Hey man, if I could be a part of that, and if these videos help somebody out there take a trip somewhere, and if I can help somebody explore another city or another town or another country, I'm all for it. I am such a big proponent of traveling. It is the greatest thing. It'll open your eyes. You will see where you came from in another light, and you will have another idea of how great other places are. Listen, when you hear things like, and don't get me wrong, I love America. I love this country. I had a giant American flag in my apartment um, in Japan. I mean, I was a big proponent. Um, but when you hear things like America is the greatest country, how do you know unless you've gone to another country and experienced something other than what you already know, right? I could think that a Toyota Corolla is the greatest car on the planet because that's all I have and that's all I've seen. But then, like, somebody rolls up in a Porsche and I drive it, I'm like, what? What is this? You know, my advice to everybody out there, and that gentleman in Chicago had it right. Listen to what these guys are saying and then act on it. Hey man, you know, Pattaya is popping. It's a great place. And for those that haven't been, get in your car, go to the post office, get you a passport if you don't already have one. When you get that passport, get in your car, get in the Uber, go to the airport, get a ticket, and go. Go across a large body of water, whether it's the Atlantic or the Pacific. Get out of here. Go. And you will see the world in a different way. All right? Yo, it's your boy Roscoe P. And I'm giving you my tales, and apparently I'm giving you other people's tales from overseas. All right? See you at the next one.